Our intestines play a very special role in the body. Recent studies show that it is not just an organ for the assimilation of food, but the intestine directly affects our immunity, our mood, and even our behavior. Moreover, more and more often the intestine is called the second brain. And the health of this organ is extremely important for our overall health and the state of the body. And what affects his condition in the first place? That's right, of course, our food. And there are those products that cause special irreparable harm to our intestines. And at the same time, there are products that are most useful for him. What kind of products are these? We will analyze in detail in this video. In the first part, we will talk about the most harmful, and in the second, about the most useful. So watch the video to the end. It will be very interesting. So let's go. By the way, friends, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell too. Do not miss my new products. So item number 1 is processed meat. What is it? These are various sausages, carbonates, sausages, ham, loins, even ham. That is, all the meat that is not fresh meat, but that which has undergone active factory processing. And the problem here is that they include a lot of nitrosamines. And it has been proven that the use of nitrosamines provokes intestinal cancer. And nitrosamines in sausages are only half the trouble. In addition, they contain a large number of other harmful additives: trans fats, preservatives, flavor enhancers, thickeners, stabilizers. Therefore, of course, it is always better to give preference to real fresh meat instead of processed meat, which you will cook yourself. The next item is sweets. Yes, the very sweets that are guilty of so many problems. And those very sweets that are perhaps the number 1 taboo in modern ideas about healthy eating. They also have a very negative effect on the intestines. The thing is that if we eat a lot of sugar, then by doing so we provoke excessive reproduction of harmful bacteria in our intestines. That is, literally, they feed on the very simple sugar, because of which they grow. As a result, pathogenic microflora can suppress healthy. And because of this, our digestive organs can become much more susceptible to various diseases. And as symptoms, we can earn ourselves bloating, flatulence, unpleasant pain. By the way, for the same reason, milk is included here. Why? But because milk contains lactose. And what is lactose? It's essentially a kind of sugar. It is no coincidence that even in English it is called milk sugar. That is, milk sugar. Well, in fact, in general, technically it is. Yes, it's sugar from milk, lactose. And why, when we drink milk, does our stomach start to swell and flatulence and all that? And that is why, because those bacteria that feed on lactose begin to actively ferment this very lactose, and the products of their vital activity swell our stomach. And if we consume too much lactose, then there will be too many of these bacteria, and the balance of microflora will already change from healthy to pathological. So in fact, any simple sugars can have an extremely negative effect on our intestines. The next item is spicy and all the spicy spices. You know, there is such a feature. In fact, most of the products that we eat are perfectly digested, split. Well, otherwise we wouldn't eat them, would we? But some foods pass through our entire gastrointestinal tract completely undigested. And they include the same burning pepper, not Bulgarian sweet pepper, no, but it is the seasoning that gives sharpness. That is, the spicy spices go all the way to the final pat absolutely undigested. And now imagine when we eat spicy, it burns in our mouth, right? It really burns, then it goes into the esophagus and gets into the stomach. If we cross the island, we may even have a stomach fire, and then it goes into the intestines. It's just that we do and have as many pain receptors in our intestines as we have in the mouth area to feel it. And that's why we just don't feel how irritated our intestines are, and all this sharpness. In fact, the intestines drag just like that. But in fact, we have a chance to feel it in the final part when we go to the toilet in a big way. So after a very spicy lunch, the next day, We can really go down the big one very painfully and feel this burning sensation in that very area, if you understand what area I'm talking about. Yes, that's where the pain receptors appear again. So spicy food, of course, irritates our intestines very much and is extremely undesirable for it. In fact, there are even population studies. Take for example the same India, where people add spicy spices just to any dish, and real Indian cuisine can just cause a fire in your mouth. And there are just some mind-boggling statistics on the number of intestinal diseases. It's frightening, it's huge. People really ruin their intestines with spicy food. Well, now let's move on to healthy foods for our intestines. The first and most obvious thing to say is, of course, fiber. Well, fiber itself is not a product. It's a content that can be found in many other products. It is found in almost all vegetables in good dosages. It is usually found in fruits. There is a lot of fiber in legumes. That is, include cabbage, broccoli, beans, greens in your diet. There is also a lot of fiber in whole grains. It is in whole grains, not in processed porridge, such as instant oatmeal, but in real whole grains that need to be cooked for at least 20 minutes. There will be a lot of fiber there. Fiber stimulates the work of our intestines very well. She, let's say, irritates him in a good way and makes him work and move food. The musculature of the intestine is arranged in such a way that there is a certain wave-like contraction, and it is this that pushes food forward and forward through the intestines to the exit. So, if we eat exclusively refined food, then we will be very bad with this motor skills. Our food will just accumulate in the form of such a big lazy lump, and the intestines will also be lazy to push it through. Well, the lump accumulates and accumulates. As a result, we may have constipation, and we will go to the toilet every 3 days, and so on according to the list. While if we eat fiber, it is a tough fiber that does not even dissolve. Fiber is not processed and is not broken down. It passes through our intestines and comes out. And as long as it passes, it acts like a brush. It affects the walls of our intestines and makes it work. In this way, the process moves like clockwork, and we will not have any stagnant phenomena in the intestines, but everything will move normally. The next product that is very useful for our intestines is prunes. We all know about its laxative properties, but of course you don't need to overeat prunes to go to such extremes. Studies have shown that eating just 2 prunes a day can have an extremely positive effect on the health of our intestines. They contribute to the growth of extremely useful microflora and its general improvement. And indeed the recommended dose is 2 berries a day, but for a long period, and the effect will be definitely positive. Let's move on. The next product is carrots. This is a very useful vegetable for our intestines. Firstly, there is a lot of fiber in it, which is extremely useful for him, as I have already said. Moreover, carrots contribute to the destruction of pathogenic microorganisms, which, by the way, is confirmed by a large number of studies. And also, due to the fact that there is a lot of carotene in it, carrots are extremely useful for the mucous membrane of our intestines. By the way, friends, and write in the comments, and which of these products do you eat? Or which ones you refused on the contrary? Share it, it will be interesting. And if you like this video, then like and subscribe to my channel. See you later.